Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Painting with Mara. Today we're going to be doing some Nighthaunt Army Spirit Host from the Age of Sigmar by Warhammer. And as I said in a previous episode, I have done a lot of painting of undead armies, or the undead army for Age of Sigmar. So I have more to do today, and I thought it would be kind of fun to both try to do a different version of how I've been filming these to see if you guys like it better. I'm going to kind of do like a jump cut where I'll show you guys what I'm going to be working on next, show you a little bit of how I'm going to be doing that, talk to you about it, and then jump ahead so that way you don't have to watch the entire lengthy process of watching me put it all together. So we're going to be starting off, they are still on the sprues, and it came with 3. So I'm going to be taking them off the sprues. I'm going to be filing them down a little bit using a set of little files that I have that I picked up from Amazon at a pretty reasonable price. And then I will be rinsing everything off with a little bit of warm water and green, simple green, which can help get rid of any of the just little remainders of residue from either the mold or the resin or whatever materials that your miniatures are made from, depending on who you're buying your miniatures from. It just helps the paint stick a little bit and gives you a cleaner surface to work on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to glue all the miniatures together so they'll be ready to paint. And the glue that I'm using right now, that I've actually had a lot of, has been really good. It glues pretty fast. Is a glue I picked up from Hobby Lobby. I use the medium one. It's just the one I'm using right now. I've tried some other ones. Gorilla Glue is also really good, but whatever works for you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, get them together, get them primed, and we'll be right back. All right, and we're back. I have not primed it yet, but I have finished gluing it all together, and these Spirit Host were just, super simple, barely an obstacle to overcome when it came to putting them together. Anyway, I really love the Age of Sigmar, a lot of the dynamic poses they have their miniatures in. But when it comes to gluing some of these together, just come on. You guys run into any troubles with the Age of Sigmar miniatures or miniatures like this? It's just a pain. So I'm going to finish letting it dry all the way. It still has a couple areas I want it to cure a little more. And then I will be coating the entire thing black for this one. So for the color scheme, and this is probably a pretty good time to get into that. Excuse me. We'll be doing the same color scheme on this one that I've been doing with the rest of the army that I have so far. And to give you an example of that, I'm going to show you one of my most recently painted miniatures that goes with the same army. So you guys can get an idea of what the overall color scheme is and what has been requested. So this is the Cruciator from the same set, Age of Sigmar. He, as you can see, is a purple, dark blackish purple undertones that lightens up to almost this bright red tone. I loved how this guy came out. I love this miniature. In comparison, this miniature also has a dynamic pose, but it was actually really easy to go together. All the pieces just helped aid in balancing him out and holding him together really well for the gluing process. But I loved doing this miniature, gluing him together and putting everything on. But anyway, we're going to go into the color scheme like this. We're going to be doing the purples and the reds for all of our ghosty boys over here. And I'm probably going to do just silver weapons, like what I did with the chains and the helmet here, with a slightly weathered look, but nothing too crazy. And then, yeah. So we're going to be ending up with something like this. And now to get these colors, I'll go ahead and show you that. So I'm going to leave them here just so you can have the comparison for what I'll be doing. So I would normally spray paint my miniatures black, especially when you're dealing with all these nooks and crannies. But I'm out of black spray paint, as I just discovered when I went into the garage. So instead, I'm just going to be doing a matte black base coating on the entire thing, which is going to take a little while. So I will, like I said, take a break, go ahead and coat it all black before moving on to the next step. But we'll be doing a matte black base coat for the entire thing. Next, what we're going to be doing is over all of the surface area that's going to be directly affected. As you can see here, we're going to be hitting it with Nagaroth Night. by Citadel. And I love this dark purple because when it dries, unless you have some contrast or more purple to go with it, it almost is like a blackish purple. So that's really great highlights. I used this on a black dragon I painted a while back. Actually, I have the one right here. Let me go ahead and show it to you. It's just a great purple color. So let me grab it off my shelf here. Because when you're painting black, you've got to have a little bit of highlights. It really helps it pop. So I'm going to move him out of the way for a second. Because this is an adult black dragon with a little dust on it. So I'm going to raise this up so I have room to show you. So for the underwings, I obviously went brighter so it would have more contrast to it. But on his back, it's almost invisible. You can almost not tell. But I did light highlights of the purple going to brighter tones. Really liked how he came out. So just a great dark purple for contrast. Anyway, so we're going to be doing our dark purple next. Followed by a couple highlights, not very many, of Xerius. I'm going to say the name wrong, so you guys can feel free to correct me in the comments below. Purple. And I'm not going to do this everywhere. I'm just going to do it on a couple of the more highlighted areas. But after that, I'm not going to touch it with any more purple. Next, we're going to go into the, this is just what I use. I know it is a base color, but it's the Khorne red. And this is a nice, deep, dark red. Used it for a lot of my vampire miniatures and for a Vash the Stampede Gunslinger that I did on Mara's Minions that you can go over there and check out. But it's a nice dark red, which is what I use to start highlighting over some of the purple areas for the contrast. And you can see that here. These are all the same colors that I used for this guy here. Following that, be doing more brighter highlights with the Mephiston red. And once again, I chose these colors, and I've been using these colors for years now, just because of the gradiency that I am able to get with them, and I love the tones and how they all come together. So I'll be using the base Mephiston red for the higher light highlights, and then only on the very tips and the places where it is the brightest on the edges, and just for that, like the fingernails, things like that, the wisps that are going to be coming off of the garments, or in the case of these ghosties, it'll be just over the tips of their faces, their tips of their fingers and knuckles, and the wisp coming off. We'll be going to the brightest highlight, which will be Evil Sunz Scarlet, which is a nice bright, almost orange, but not quite red, just for that contrast. And it'll be done. It's fairly, and it may seem complicated, but it's actually really simple. And it looks great when it's done. And this was the color requested, so we'll go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this guy black, because it should be mostly dry by now. And we'll be right back.